Hey, honey.
Yes, Barry?
Let's get out of here.
Where are we going?
Where do we always go?
Este ritmo de palmas, sin naturaleza, hasta encontrar la playa. Por eso grito al mundo, yo soy de Puerto Vallarta. Samba de Puerto Vallarta, noche de ruido en el mar. Samba de Puerto Vallarta.
Hello, fellow travelers, and welcome to this episode of the Puerto Vallarta Travel Show. I'm your host, Barry Kessler, and I'm just so happy to be introducing you to my favorite vacation destination. Maybe it's even yours. If it's not, maybe it will be one day, and that's Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. That music you're listening to is performed by Alberto Perez, and Alberto is the owner of the La Palapa group of restaurants here in Puerto Vallarta. La Palapa and the El Dorado restaurant are on the south side of town. They're right down on the beach, in Puerto Vallarta, of course. And if you play your cards right, you can catch Alberto Perez singing and playing the Sambo de Puerto Vallarta, just like I did the other night, while enjoying dinner under the stars, toes in the sand, right at the water's edge. Just beautiful view of the Los Muertos Pier, and so romantic. So Puerto Vallarta. I just love Puerto Vallarta, folks. And today, we're going to be talking with our buddy JR in Puerto Vallarta. And I have an interview with the owners of a new restaurant in the Emilio Zapata Colonia of Puerto Vallarta. But first, let's do a little housekeeping. Now, last week, February 26, 2017, I mentioned that the bank ATM machines had been removed from the lobby where you buy your taxi cab transfers, remember? Now, word from those folks on the ground, and I want to thank my friend John for sending a picture of a new platform that is in the same place where those particular ATMs were before, but they're setting it up for what it looks like about 5 machines. So we're probably pretty close to getting those machines back into the lobby of the airport, probably about a week away from the looks of these photos. But remember, you need to bring some money just in case those machines aren't up, and we will keep you informed and let you know exactly when those machines are back. Now remember, these are the machines that are in the lobby of the airport where you buy your taxi or your van transfers for your destination, your lodging, wherever you're going to be going, your mom's house, under a bridge, a condo, a luxury resort, wherever you're going to be. So it's just a matter of time, once again, before those are back. Remember, though, that I do have a little bit about currency exchange in my episode number 2 and in number 3 as well. So if you haven't heard those, you should go back and listen to them. And speaking about what to expect when you get to the Puerto Vallarta airport, I made a video about what to expect when you get there, and you're going to find it very informative. And you can find it on my website at www.puertovallartatravelshow.com. And it is referring to episode 3, where I have it available for you to take a look at. And also, I'll put it in the show notes for this particular show as well. So it's very descriptive of what you're going to expect when you arrive at the PV airport. And it's going viral, my friends. I got to tell you, I don't know how long I can have this video up and running before someone hunts me down and makes me, I don't know, buy a timeshare or something. Okay, just kidding. Anyway, I'll keep you advised as to when those ATM machines are actually going to reappear, but until then, like I said, bring some pesos from home, either from your bank or a money exchange near you, and, well, if worse comes to worse, you just buy your taxi voucher using your own funny money from your own home, and then when you get settled in, get yourself An ATM machine that's inside of a bank. Not out on the street, my friends. So for more ideas again on exchanging money, just go to episode 2 of the Puerto Vallarta Travel Show. Now, next, I announced last week that I added a new page to the website. I'm very excited about this. It has all the best webcams in Puerto Vallarta. Now, some of these cameras are great for watching the sunset right from your armchair. So you go to www.puertovallartatravelshow.com, you click on the webcam tab at the top of the page, and catch your Puerto Vallarta sunset today. And if you have a favorite webcam that maybe I missed, just send me a link and I'll add it for you. The more the merrier, right? Now, this week I have a treat for you, and that's an interview with J.R. John Russell about, well, J.R. I wanted to find out his path to Puerto Vallarta, like I ask others when they come on my show, what was your path to Puerto Vallarta? So why not JR? Let's get that interview right now with JR and PV. So today we are going to again join JR in PV. And how are you doing today, JR?
I'm just fine, Barry. Thank you.
Well, great. I'm glad to have you aboard today. I wanted to, now you've been in Puerto Vallarta now for 30, 40 years, is that right? How long have you been there?
I've lived here full time about 30 years, but I first came here 40 years ago.
So you've been there a long time, and you still have that English accent. What's with that?
Might sound like an accent to you. To me, it's a language.
Got it. So JR, you got there 40 years ago. Tell us the story. There must be a big story behind that.
Yeah, there is. Okay, when I was living in Los Angeles, and I was doing quite a bit of sailing, and one of the people that I sailed with, his father had a boat down here in Puerto Vallarta, which needed to be transported back to Los Angeles so that they could sell it. It was quite a large boat. It was a 71-foot staysail schooner built in 1930 by John Alden on the East Coast. So we came down to sail it back. The boat was not in very good condition, to say the least. It leaked like a sieve. The engine got seized up, and consequently, I ended up spending a lot of time down here, which I didn't expect to spend. The whole trip should have taken us no more than 2.5 weeks, and it ended up taking 2.5 months. While the engine was being rebuilt, I spent quite a bit of time in Yalapa, and generally parted it up in town.
Sure.
But it was, back then it was a lot different. There wasn't that many foreigners in town. I mean, there were tourists, yes, but it wasn't nothing like it is today. Anyhow, cut a long story short, when we got back, eventually, I didn't do my business sort of got destroyed by my absence. I ended up quitting advertising photography and started working on boats in the marina, and actually my cash flow was better. It was quite amazing. I subsequently came down for a friend's wedding down here. And all the people I'd met from before all welcomed me with open arms and said, well, you should move back down. And I said, well, wait, I can't do that. I've got this going on there, this going on there. Typical, high pressure American sort of business going on. Mm-hmm. But when I got back to Los Angeles, I realized I had more friends down in Puerto Vallarta than I had in Los Angeles. And I just decided that's it. I'm going. I held the biggest garage sale in the world, packed what remained into my car, and drove down.
Wow. That's pretty incredible. And so that was it. You just turned your back on civilization, quote unquote, so to speak, and down to Puerto Vallarta with you.
Well, actually, I would consider this civilization far superior to the civilization in Los Angeles.
There you go. I'm with you on that. I'll tell you.
Anyhow, I got some office space with a friend who had a store here, and in return for me doing a database for his inventory, I had internet connection. Way back then, there was a instant messaging, very early instant messaging service called ICQ.
Mm-hmm.
And I got a message from England, of all places, from a guy who was coming to visit with his mates, and he couldn't find out how much money to bring, pocket money, that everything else was paid for, but they couldn't even find out how much a beer costs, which is rather essential to an Englishman. And I thought, that's strange. And I went online, and there were like, I think it was five sites on Puerto Vallarta at that time. Only one remains. And I thought, well, I can do better than that. And because all these sites, no price whatsoever. Mexicans hate being tied down to a price. Even they forget that they can easily change it, but it seems to be a cultural thing.
Interesting.
It seems to be a cultural hang up. You know.
Yeah.
It's like they're hang up in saying no. That's a very interesting thing as well, which we'll probably take another session to explain. Anyhow, I thought, that's strange. I can do better than that. So I sat down and I wrote, like, I don't know, 5 pages with the prices in and everything, and went and started my website, vallartainfo.com. Subsequently, all the other sites added the prices.
Following the leader, right, John?
And as I say, now there's only one of those original 5 sites left, apart from me.
Fantastic. And we tell people to go to vallartainfo.com to get their tours, right, JR?
Well, yeah, I book tours at the same price as everybody else, but I get a small commission, which helps pay the expenses.
Fantastic. So there you have it from JR himself. It's no rumor, John, that JR in PV has been giving advice to people coming to Puerto Vallarta for almost 30 years then, it sounds like to me, right? Or is it 40?
No, about 30 years.
About 30 years.
Yeah. Might be a little less. I don't know. I at my age, I lose track of time.
I don't know. You told me about a hike that you went on the other day, and that hike kicked my rear end. So I don't know what you're talking about with the age thing. But we're going to talk about that hike another time. JR, will you join us again, and we'll talk a little bit more about maybe some of those tours, maybe go over what they involve, and maybe you can tell us a little bit about one or two of them? Yes,
indeed. I'd also like to mention that I'm very well known, or the site is very well known, for the maps.
Yes.
You know, I mean, even with the age of Google Maps these days, I see Google Maps where there's some considerable mistakes. In other words, they would have a road going through where you couldn't drive through anyhow because there's a bunch of steps.
Right, correct. And so also with that in mind, if you don't mind, we're going to go and walk through some of those maps together with you. And of course, I've told my listeners where to find those maps, and it's at the map tab on the top of the homepage at vallartainfo.com. You'll be able to find that. And we're going to use those. And also the great thing about those maps in each one of those pages is the descriptions of each of those particular sections that you go over. And I would like to go over that with you on another episode. We'll maybe kind of walk through the town together, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, that sounds good because I think that's very important because if you know where you're going and where you are, uh, it really makes things a lot easier to enjoy town.
That's for sure. And you, my friend, have made it so easy for so many people to get through this town, too. I really appreciate that. And I know that my listeners appreciate it, too, JR.
Well, thanks, Barry. I appreciate it. I appreciate all the effort put into making those maps is not an easy project.
That's for sure. And they're fantastic maps, as I mentioned earlier on another podcast. So, JR, thanks for joining me today on this episode, and we'll talk to you next week. Is that okay?
Okay. Look forward to it.
Likewise. Thank you, sir.
Bye-bye.
Cheers. So, JR has been accommodating visitors to Puerto Vallarta for decades. In fact, I have links all over my website that lead to vallartainfo.com. So, go to vallartainfo.com for tours and maps and everything else. Speaking of JR's maps, if you download his map of the south side of Puerto Vallarta, you're going to see where we're going to be heading for our next interview. If you go to the show notes of this episode, you're going to see a copy of that map, and I have the restaurant that I'm going to marked in red, so look for it. Now, I wanted to check out this particular restaurant for a couple of reasons. When I was in town last October, I was sad to see one of the longtime eateries, the Gilmar, was closed. And it was a cool little place. It was very Mexican. It was right in the Emilio Zapata neighborhood. And it was a nice little place. It was a nice little family place. Anyway, when I walked by, I heard that there was work. I heard people working inside. Even though it was closed. So I wanted to see what was coming in its place, and I kept my ear to the ground, and I found out that a Canadian couple was going to open up a restaurant where the Gilmar once was. So I watched as work was done on the place, and in a very short time, John and Karen Radics opened their work of love, which they call the Salty Caesar. Now, I wanted to hear their story, so I sat with them, and I got their story. So let's get to the Puerto Vallarta Emilio Zapata neighborhood and talk with John and Karen Radics at the Salty Caesar. Today I'm in Puerto Vallarta with John and Karen Radics. They're the owners of the new restaurant in downtown Puerto Vallarta called the Salty Caesar. Thanks for joining us, you guys.
Thank you, Barry.
Thank you, Barry.
Okay, I'll bite. What's a Salty Caesar?
Salty Caesar is a drink that was invented in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, and it is made with clamato juice, vodka, seasonings. So it's kind of like an American Bloody Mary with clamato juice.
Oh, okay. I forgot to tell everybody here that we are in the centro part of Puerto Vallarta, and so you're going to hear cars, you're going to hear all kinds of stuff because we're doing this live in the restaurant. So this is, again, I'm not in the studio today. I'm actually out on the road. So thanks for putting up with a little background noise, you guys. So, all right. So tell us about your place. Tell us about the menu, the concept.
The concept is kind of what we thought we were going to start out with was a bar with food, and we've ended up being a restaurant with a bar. We have a little bit of everything from some Canadian comfort food. We have poutine, hamburgers. We have some high-end dishes, a lot of shrimp and fish dishes, which are local to this area. And when you're in Puerto Vallarta, you should really try and experience some of the Mexican flair and fish that is local and bought daily.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, that is Puerto Vallarta. Fresh fish and all that good stuff, right, John?
Yes, I do the shopping every morning. We have a phenomenal afternoon chef. His name is Hernan. Does excellent seafood, outstanding dishes.
Great. I'm glad you found yourself a great chef. That's so important in a restaurant, you guys. You know that, obviously. You have karaoke here, too, and that's pretty fun, especially for among drinkers and stuff like that? You have any good stories about your karaoke bar? Anything exciting?
Oh, we have karaoke 3 nights a week. We're finding one night is really, really busy, and if you're not here early, it's hard to get a seat, and we have some fantastic singers. Some of these people, we're open to the street. We have people stopping on the street when they hear the singers, and then they want to come in and partake. We have some people that, like a lot, come to Puerto Vallarta, have a couple tequilas, and think they can sing, and it's always a lot of fun.
Yeah, the alcohol always gets the voice. The voice sounds better when you're when you can't hear yourself. I guess, I don't know.
Some people figure they sing better in the shower. We always tell them we'll turn the tap on while they're singing.
Good idea. So, all right. So this space used to be the Gilmar. I used to come to the Gilmar. It's an old staple here in town. It was, I should say. And it seems like you guys kept the name on the front of the restaurant. So what's the backstory behind that?
We kept the name out of respect. Was here for 38 years. Started by the mother. She passed away. Alberto, her husband, carried on the business. Then her son, Benjamin, he carried on the business. Then he just got far too busy. Something had to go between his political career, being the president of the Colonial, his catering in the evening, which took off very, very well, and a very young family. That being said, he closed the restaurant in August. We came along, reopened it November 7th, and we were having a great success with it. Way better than we could ever expect it.
Yeah, I mean, every time I go on Facebook and I see your page, and man, you guys you're packed, you're busy all the time. It seems it's great. I mean, that's wonderful to be able to to come in and start a place, and it's wonderful, I gotta say. So you two are from Canada, and so when did you move here? And did you come here with the idea of opening a restaurant? And I guess my second question is, have you ever run a restaurant?
Yes, in part. 20 years ago, we were in a partnership here in Puerto Vallarta on the marina. We sold that, and it was just a passion of ours, I guess more Karen's passion than my passion, to open a bar and have it be a karaoke bar for all our friends that we know here, expats that are here, live here for 6 months, and just ended up with some phenomenal staff and became a restaurant with karaoke, with a bar, and can't say enough about our staff. They just do an awesome job for us, day in, day out.
Staff and all the support we've had from our friends that we've had from over the years. John and I have been coming to Puerto Vallarta for 26 years, and it's always felt like home to us. And we always knew we wanted to be here full time, and this has allowed us to be here a few years before retirement so that we can enjoy Puerto Vallarta. All our friends, the locals in this neighborhood have been very accepting of us. We were a little worried because, when you say you're opening a bar restaurant, they're wondering what kind of crowd you're going to have. And I think we've been proved to them that we have some very, very good customers. We're not, the crazy party bar. That's down on the Malecon. That's not up in the neighborhoods.
Right, and yeah, it is. You're in the middle of a neighborhood here, aren't you?
You bet we are.
So this is the Emilio Zapata area, isn't it?
Correct.
Right. And that is very important to be respectful to your neighbors, and in return, I'm sure that they are respectful to you, and they probably come here and eat too.
They do, and I think for John and I, that was the first sign of acceptance when we had one of the local families come over and sit and have a meal in our restaurant and tell us that they've been watching since the day we took over and started changing things over to the Salty Caesar from the Gilmar. And to John and I, that was a big acceptance, for our restaurant to be accepted in this neighborhood when the local families are here eating.
Sure, absolutely.
And that being said, we do have local pricing. We are not tourist priced, as is on the Malecon. So that makes a huge difference in the Mexican acceptance.
Correct, and I think that the old adage that the further you get away from the ocean, the less money you're going to be paying for food anyway, right?
Exactly, and I mean they've done a lot of work over the years in the the surrounding neighborhoods with improvements to the sidewalks and lighting, that people feel safe, and they should, because there's traffic here all day, all night, and everybody's friendly. If you're having a problem or you're not sure where you are, everybody's willing to help you, give you directions, point out a local watering hole that's good to go to, the little hotels, it's all here in the neighborhoods.
And speaking of safety, just last night I left my truck unlocked all night. There was beach chairs in there, umbrellas in there, everything was in the truck, not a thing touched.
Great. I like hearing that. That's, that warms my heart.
It does, and sometimes people, their comfort zone is to stay a little closer to the Malecon, and, but there's lots of, within our bar, there's other neighborhood bars close by, and we all support each other. We're all in this to make the neighborhood better and to make Puerto Vallarta safe and a place where people want to go and visit and meet other people and take part in the Mexican neighborhoods.
One of the things that I love doing when I'm in Puerto Vallarta is walking through the Mexican neighborhoods, is walking through the Emilio Zapata area, and up around the Riviera del Rio and stuff, just away from the ocean and away from a lot of tourists, and kind of mingle with the locals. I think that people shouldn't be afraid to do that, and I think that you can get a real good flavor of what Puerto Vallarta is all about by getting away from the tourists and, kind of walking around the local area. Absolutely.
And a lot of people live down here, whether it's the Americans or Canadians, for 6, 7, 8, some are year round. And this is where their homes are. And, that being said, the rents are a little cheaper than the tourist area, and that's why you get the real neighborhood flair.
We have 5 great little hotels right in the area, starting at $20 Canadian a night. It's awesome.
Take note, you guys. If you want to know about those hotels, can you pick off a couple for me?
We have the Azteca is down the street. The other one, Annalise, is across the street.
Right.
Can't think of their names right off the top of my head, but they're just awesome little hotels.
I don't want to put you under the gun, John. It's okay. You know what? I'll do that for you. Okay, I'll go find them and I'll talk about them. But that's great. $20 Canadian a night, you guys. that is so reasonable, isn't it? And they're clean. They're not top drawer or anything like that. I imagine you probably can't get internet access in some of these, but.
Well, you can always come to the Salty Caesar, Barry. We have free internet, and we welcome anybody that needs to come in and check with phone home, or connect with the internet. We also have free phone calls to Canada and the United States.
Who needs Starbucks? God, this is right. This is the place to be. All right, you gringos. Okay, let me ask you a couple of questions to gringos here. What were the difficulties, if any, of putting this place together the way that you wanted it when you came in to remodel the place?
The greatest part of the whole thing was dealing with our Mexican landlords. Were outstanding. They've been supportive of every step of the way. Made things very, very easy. It comes with some difficulties, as it does in any culture, and being in a different country. But you know what? We're very, very lucky, very, very fortunate to be where we are, have the landlords we have the neighbors we have, and be in the community we're in.
Exactly. Now, how about difficulties in running the restaurant here? Have you run into any trouble there, or basically has it been pretty pain-free?
It's long hours. We weren't going to have the breakfast to start with. We've incorporated the breakfast, just brought on a whole other shift of employees. It comes with its difficulties. Of course
sure
it does. It's a time thing, but as Karen said, we've had phenomenal support from the locals and expat friends. Our friends are just outstanding.
Oh yeah, we've had a lot of support. Even our staff, we've had a few growing pains, but I think that's the same with any new business. A lot of these people didn't know each other before they started working here, and we're trying to build a team. And that's what we keep telling them. We build a team and it runs well, and we're getting there. We've got some really good staff, and I think that shows when the customers are commenting about our staff and how friendly they are and helpful, and also bilingual, which is huge. John and I aren't fully bilingual, but we manage very well. And with our staff, we have English spoken, as well as Spanish and a little bit of Dutch too, and the odd French word is also thrown in there.
Wait a minute. Did you say odd French word? Never mind.
Yeah.
We won't go there. You two are obviously really, really busy. How do you guys find time to enjoy paradise?
Oh, that's the tough one, Barry. We see the beach once in a while. We are closed on Mondays, and John and I just thought it was very important for ourselves and for our staff to have a day off. We could go 7 days a week, but everybody needs a break. We need to be able to get out of here, go see the beach, let our staff enjoy the time with their families. We can do things that we want to do, and then we all come back refreshed, and I think it makes it a little nicer when everybody's rested, happy to come back to work, and you look forward to your days off.
Very, very tough to spend time with family and friends outside of this place. So the 1 day off a week, at least we can try and manage 1 day with them when they come to town and show them this beautiful town, beautiful country.
Absolutely, and we've been fortunate that a lot of our friends have made arrangements, so when they plan things, they plan it on Mondays so John and I can partake, which has just been amazing. So we find our Mondays get booked up very quickly, but we're enjoying every minute of it.
Great. Okay, one day in paradise you get to spend, and then the other days, well, you're still in paradise, but you're working. But that's
right.
That is not unusual, I guess. And many people, including myself, work I work 7 days a week, but who's talking about me? Let's move on. Okay. Now, you said that you are living here now. Are you living here full time?
And I won't say full time, because we will go back in the summer. Let our staff run the place, because we have, as I said, we have all the little Mexican hotels. We do get a lot of Mexican clientele in our place. So they will be employed year-round. We will not give up on our staff. We want to keep our staff. They're phenomenal.
Excellent, because I know a lot of restaurants, they shut down for a month or two during the summer months, and when it's slow and when it's hot and sticky, but you're going to keep it going, huh?
Yes, we are, Barry. It's very important for our staff, and very important for the community to have a place to go in the off season and show them that we're here for them, not just for us.
Yeah,
Okay.
and John and I are hoping to get home and spend some time with our family back home and friends, and then come down and do some renos and get things cleaned up, ready for high season again for next year.
Got it. Okay. All right. Well, you are spending a lot of time here, so let me ask you this: Are you two working on your Mexican residency?
Yes, we are working on our permanent residency at the moment. So
what are the steps involved in doing that, or can you tell me that?
It's just a lot of hurry up and wait. But I'm used to that coming from the oil field industry.
And in Mexico, it's hurry up and wait for a lot of things. We're finding that out. We knew that, but that's part of it. Mañana, mañana, mañana.
Yes. Well, I heard from JR. He was telling me. He told me, basically the translation of mañana here, which means definitely not today, and maybe not for a while.
That's pretty much sums it up.
Yes, and JR would certainly know. He's been through a lot here, and he has been very instrumental in helping us with some internet stuff, with a lot of things here. I can't thank JR enough.
JR has been a huge supporter, and we appreciate every bit. And everybody knows JR, and everybody smiles when they see him. And he sneaks in sometimes without being known, and next thing you know, he's got something on the internet, and he's been a big supporter of ours, and we appreciate it. And it's clientele like that makes John and I happy to come to work in the morning and see these faces and talk to these people, and they're enjoying it here, and it makes our job that much easier.
Well, he's made my job easy, because whenever I ask him, hey, I want to interview such and so, they never say no to me.
Well, that's good,
and
Barry.
that's because I drop his name. I'm a big name dropper, so that works out for me. Well, you guys, thanks for taking the time and joining me and letting my listeners know all about your place. And maybe you can tell us how they can find you.
Okay, we are located in what you call the downtown central part. We are on Francisco I. Madero, 418. We have a Facebook page, The Salty Caesar, if anybody is interested in going on there and checking out updates, and the maps are on there. We have a friend that jokes, he says, turn at the OXXO. Well, there's an OXXO on every corner, so I don't know, you might get lost if that one.
Yeah, the OXXO is the OXXO is the Mexican version of the 7-Elevens that we have back in the States. Well, all right. Well, I will also, on our blog post, you can check the links there. I will link up to their page. And, I can't thank you both enough for taking some time out of your very busy day to talk to me and talk to my listeners.
Thank you so much, Barry. Really appreciate it. And this is a really neat experience. If anybody has never had a live podcast, there's a lot to it, and it's a lot of fun.
Thank you, Barry. And to add to that, we are located just northeast of the church in Old Town, and where the famous churro guy is, after 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Ah, excellent. Good. All right. Nice landmark. Okay, everybody. Come on down to the Salty Caesar. And John, Karen, thanks again.
Thanks, Barry.
Thank you.
Wow, those people are so nice, aren't they? John and Karen, I wish you the best of luck. Now, the neighborhood that they're in is really one of my favorite places in Puerto Vallarta. And the restaurants in this part of the town, they're reasonable price-wise, very, very neighborhood area. You're really going to like it there. Also, in a couple of weeks from now, I'm going to get out there and I'm going to take you for a tour of the Mexican hotels that John was talking about. You know, the ones that he was talking about started at around $20 Canadian? Now, what's that like? Like, what, around $10 US? Just kidding, you guys. Really, sorry. Anyway, I'm going to take you to those hotels. We're going to talk with managers and owners of the places, and we're going to introduce you to these budget hotels. Now, there's going to be some Spanish spoken for sure, my friends, but no hay problema, mis amigos. Puedo hablar el español, which means, well, I can speak Spanish. And I'm going to be talking and I'm going to be translating with these wonderful people who really would love to see more gringos stay in their places. Places like the Hotel Azteca, the Belmar, the Hotel Annalise, the Bernal, the Marlene, the Marilena, the Hotel Villa del Mar, the Hotel Hortensia, and others. So stay tuned for that episode. Probably we're going to need to split that show into probably 2 or 3 episodes. We're going to see. I had so much fun doing these interviews, and I've just got a couple more to do before I can get that show ready and listenable for you people. And as a matter of fact, I have to thank so many of you listeners for reaching out and giving us feedback, for giving us recommendations and ideas for future shows. And we just have so much coming up, mis amigos. I especially want to thank Joe from Fargo. He gave us a 4-star review on iTunes, and he says, "Must listen for first-time PV visitors by Joe from Fargo. I'll soon be taking my first trip to Puerto Vallarta. This podcast seems like it was written specifically for me. So much practical advice and easy to listen to hosts. Thanks, guys. You rock." Well, Joe from Fargo, you rock, man. Thanks for taking the time and giving us a good review right there on iTunes. And you can do the same thing, too. You go to www.puertovallartatravelshow.com, and on each of my blog pages, I have a link that you can sign into iTunes and you can give us a good review. Well, once again, it looks like we have come to the end of this particular show. We always seem to go a little bit long for some reason. I don't know why. Anyway, I want you to remember that this is an interactive show, my friends, where I depend on your questions and your suggestions about all things Puerto Vallarta. If you think of something that I should be talking about, please reach out to me by clicking on the Contact Us tab and sending us your message. And remember, if you're considering booking any type of tour while you're in Puerto Vallarta, you must go to vallartainfo.com, JR's website, and reserve your tour through him right from his website. Remember, this is a value-for-value proposition, my friends. His experience and his on-the-ground knowledge of everything Puerto Vallarta in exchange for your making a purchase of a tour that you'd do anyway. You're just doing it through him as a way of saying thank you. Thanks, JR, for being our guide. It costs no more than if you were to use someone else, so just do it. And when you do take one of those tours, email me about your experiences, and maybe you can come on board and share with others what you liked or didn't like about the tour. Again, contact me by clicking on the Contact Us tab and sending off a message. And once again, if you like this podcast, do what Joe did and give us a good review on iTunes if you would. That way we can get the word out to more and more people. More and more people about the magic of this place. So, thanks to JR for coming by and giving us a little insight into his life. And thank you, John and Karen Radics of the Salty Caesar. Listen, folks, go give them a visit and tell them that you heard about the Salty Caesar from me. They'll probably get a kick out of that one for sure. Now, I didn't get a chance to eat there, so let me know what you think of the restaurant, will ya? And thanks to all of you for listening all the way through this episode of the Puerto Vallarta Travel Show. This is Barry Kessler signing off with a wish for you to slow down, be kind, and live the Vallarta lifestyle. Nos vemos, amigos.
Solo camino, perno por la playa, me encuentro junto al río, cuando todo está en calma, pronto cae la noche, brillas Puerto Vallarta, samba de Puerto Vallarta, noche de arrullo en el mar, de Puerto Vallarta, noche de amor junto al mar, samba de Puerto Vallarta.